Have there been any sort of setbacks in your studies as a student, sort of things that have been challenges to overcome?
I think that many students, and women more so than most others, have what's called the imposter syndrome, which is you come into an academic institution or in any environment where it's a challenging professional environment, and you feel like everybody all around you is so much smarter than you, and the only question is when, not if, but when they're going to discover that you're not nearly as smart as they are. And then you're going to be outed and kicked out because, you know, obviously they're going to realize that you're not quite as good as anybody else. And I think that's something that all of us, including myself, I don't know if all of us, but many of us, including myself, have struggled with, especially when you move into an environment like Stanford, where everybody who comes here was the top of their class at whatever institution they came from, high school or you know, an undergraduate institution. And it takes a while of, you know, getting the feedback again and again that when you didn't understand something, probably about 50 or more % of the people in the room didn't understand it either. Mm-hmm. And so you shouldn't feel like you're stupid, and it should be okay to ask questions. I mean, it takes a while to acclimate yourself to that. And so the advice that I would give to people who are feeling in that situation is to know that most of the people around them are either feeling that way, and that probably a good fraction of their instructors and mentors have probably felt that way in the past, and maybe even still do in some cases.
Would you have any advice for students in general who take hard classes here?
That I think it's important to realize that your fellow students are probably struggling as well, so that you're not alone in thinking the material is challenging, and that it's important to persevere, because oftentimes it takes a while before you wrap your brain around a new and challenging concept, and the fact that it takes a while doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means that it takes time to acclimate to a certain way of thinking. And so I would encourage all students, and especially women who tend to often be less confident than they deserve to be, to not give up, but rather try and work their way through it, get help from friends, and really, if you're passionate about something, it's important to continue working at it until you succeed.
Because of Coursera, coming from the Philippines, I know a lot of students and even professionals who use it, and it's such an amazing tool. What has been your inspiration in founding it, first of all, and what are the challenges, you know, currently and in the whole process of building it?
For me, the path towards Coursera started out from my role as a Stanford professor, where for over the course of time, I'd gotten increasingly frustrated at the fact that I walk into lecture year after year teaching the same concepts in the same way to what is a changing population of students, but without really having much of an opportunity to engage with them, especially as my class grew larger and larger, you know, became a sea of faces. There wasn't really that much opportunity for meaningful dialogue. Initially convincing some of this country's top academic institutions that they should take something that is at the core of their mission, their content, their faculty, their brand, and put it out there for people to benefit from for free. I mean, that was a big step for them to take, and it took a while of convincing them that, you know, our heart was in the right place, that this wouldn't impinge on their mission. I mean, I think that was, you know, a big challenge, and it took us a while to get past that. I think now there is a challenge that is not necessarily just ours, but a societal challenge, which is this is a very significant shift in the way in which we educate our students. And it's something that a lot of people are finding hard to wrap their brains around. How is this going to affect higher education? Are colleges going to go out of business? Is higher education going to become extinct, except at a small number of top institutions? I don't believe any of those are true, but I think the challenge is how to navigate the change that we're seeing so that it goes in a good direction. Because there is a risk here, I think, that people who are looking for easy solutions are going to come and say, oh, MOOCs are the silver bullet. They can solve all the problems. We no longer need to fund public education in the United States because hey, MOOCs are going to do it all for free. And I think steering away from that outcome so that higher education doesn't get thrown out as part of this process is a big challenge for all of us.
How are you able to balance your time and know what to prioritize?
Try and pick problems where you think there is a significant long-term impact to be had from this. What is a long-term goal that will help me make a change that I consider to be significant? And then what are the steps towards that goal? I think it should be driven by the thing that I hope to achieve in 3 to 5 years. So when I interview somebody, for example, for anything, for a faculty position or anything, I ask them where they'd like to see themselves in 5 years, or rather in 5 years, what would they like to have said that they've accomplished?